Hi everybody, Chuck Freeby with a preview of some of the top area high school football games this weekend. I feel like any video I do is going to pale in comparison to Steve of Blue Clues being on social media this week. But let me share some information with you. We'll start up in Michigan. It is only 11 miles from Edwardsburg to Niles High School. And it's hard to believe, but nobody has ever traversed those 11 miles during football season for the two schools to play one another until Friday night, when the Eddies will go visit the Vikings in a battle of unbeaten teams. Now, being undefeated is not a surprise up in Edwardsburg. They have only lost 2 regular season games in the last 9 years. They've won the last 28 in a row. They have not been scored upon this year. This year, Brett Allen has 156 yards rushing on only 10 carries. I mean, they are like a machine up there with Kevin Bartz's squad. But they're going to face a well-coached team on Friday night when they go to Viking Field in Niles. Scott Shaw has done a wonderful job with this Niles program in year 1 with wins over Sturgis and then Buchanan last week. And if you look at this Niles team, first of all, they play great defense. They've got a freshman by the name of Sam Rucker who's making a name for himself with 2 pick-sixes so far this season. Colin Hess is having a great year at fullback. He has 4 touchdowns on the year. This is obviously a huge test for Niles. Much tougher team that they've faced so far with Sturgis and Buchanan. But perhaps that's what makes us so curious to watch this game unfold on Friday night. So that'll be interesting up in Southwest Michigan, and we have a lot of good games in Indiana this week. In fact, a couple in the NIC. Let's start at Amzie Miller Field in New Carlisle, where Marion goes to take on New Prairie. Now, this Marion team so far this season, we saw them lose to Mishawaka. Then they lost to Culver Academy, turned around last week, and looked much more like what we're used to seeing from Marion as they hammered Bremen. But what happens when they face this physical New Prairie team? You see Caleb Lusanga. He ran for 60 yards and 3 touchdowns last week in the win over the Lions. Lucas Granado and Bryce Lassane split the passing at quarterback last week. We'll see how they decide to do that. And then they need that defense to really step up against New Prairie, but that's easier said than done, because when you look at the Cougars, first of all, you got to start by talking about Hunter Whitenack, the Division I commit who's going to Illinois, and an offensive line they believe might be the best in school history. They are currently 3rd in the state in rushing, averaging 358 yards per game. Noah Mangia leads the state with 789 yards rushing. The Cougars have outscored their foes 38-13 so far. And I know Casey McKim doesn't want to hear this, but his team is playing as well as anybody in the NIC right now. They'll get a test from the Marion Knights in the conference opener on Friday night. Now, we talked about Niles and Edwardsburg being close. They are not nearly as close as Adams and St. Joe. Less than 2 miles separate those two schools, who get together again on the east side of South Bend Friday night at Father Bly Field. Now, the Adams Eagles are 2-1. They've bounced back from that season-opening loss to Northridge. Gavin Pulling has returned to the quarterback duties, running the ball well behind the big tackles, Caleb Rauch and Auden Jones. But you see this defense right now, only giving up 12 points a game. Jeremiah Love having a spectacular year at linebacker. So Adams really feels like they can go in and play physically against St. Joe. How will the Indians respond? St. Joe's been pretty stingy on defense in its 2 wins over Lakeland and John Glenn. They were dominated by that more physical Northridge team. They'll need to play the Eagles and get big games from quarterbacks Marvin Lopez and Alex Ortiz. And as always, when these two schools get together, it should be a great atmosphere at Father Bly Field. So that's the way the NIC shapes up this week. What about the Northern Lakes Conference? Everybody looking forward to the headliner, where the mentor comes back and visits his protege. Bart Curtis and the Warsaw Tigers coming to Steele Stadium for the first time since 1984 to take on Keith Kinder and Mishawaka. And last week, if you watched on TV-46, you saw a lot of this. Julius Jones and this Warsaw rushing attack just absolutely blitzkrieg Plymouth last week. And defensively, Warsaw swarms to the ball so well, but they're averaging 312 yards per game rushing with the melting pot backfield of Julius Jones, Herman Flores Ortega, and Tucker Curtis at quarterback. Fun group to watch. Now, the big question for Mishawaka entering this game is how they'll do if they have to play without Justin Fisher at quarterback. There are reports Fisher suffered a potential MCL injury, and Keith Kinder, the head coach, understandably so, has been tight-lipped about his star quarterback status. Now, if Justin can't go, his younger brother Brady takes the reins, but he'll still have guys like Chaz Hardy and Malam Burris and the usual suspects in the backfield. And this will be the best test yet for that defense, which is vastly improved this year, giving up just less than 8 points per game. So Warsaw and Mishawaka, winner kind of assumes the mantle of the favorite in the Northern Lakes Conference this season. And our game on TV-46 on Friday night, first time we'll ever go down to Community Field in Knox to show you the Stark County rivalry that dates back to 1949 between North Judson and Knox. It often pits families against one another. They're the only two teams in the county that play football, so it's a big deal down there. North Judson is 3-0. They're ranked number 8 in the 1A poll. They have a dynamic player by the name of Cheyenne Allen with 8 touchdowns in the first 3 games. Brett Lambert really likes the way that his team spreads the wealth on offense, and his defense has played very well as well. They're like Mishawaka. They only give up about 8 points a game. But they'll get a test from Russ Radke and the Knox Redskins because, tell you what, Russ Radke has never lost in this rivalry. He coached at North Judson for 10 years, beat Knox every year, and last year as the head coach of Knox, he beat North Judson. In fact, Knox has won 5 straight in the rivalry. It's an inexperienced bunch, but they have Gunnar Krause at tailback, a nice quarterback in Cohen Watson, and they love to play physical football as Radke teams have done for over 500 games. So it should be a fun one to watch. Great atmosphere for this game. We'll bring it to you live on Facebook, YouTube, and the Champions Network at 7:45 Eastern Time. A little bit later because of the time zone change. And of course, it'll be seen on TV-46 Friday night at 11 and Saturday morning at 9. Until we see you at the ball game, Chuck Freeby saying thanks for watching on social media.